Hello everyone, welcome back to another interview here on On GAA with me, Seamus Brady, your host, and for this one I am joined by 1996 Hurler of the Year, a Wexford hurling legend, All-Ireland winner, Martin Storey. How are you, Martin?
I'm good, thanks. That's a lovely introduction, but no, I'm fine, not a bother, thanks.
Good stuff. It's an absolute privilege to have you on. Just one of the first questions that I just wanted to ask you. Obviously we had the Wexford game at the weekend there. And just the standard of hurling across the board now is absolutely ridiculous. And in terms of, you look at the Cork Tipperary game, you look at the Clare Tipperary game, the standard now has gone, the heights are just insane. And last year's All-Ireland hurling final, for Kilkenny to score 226 and to still not win, like the game is just getting better and better and better.
Well, it's getting faster and it's getting more offensive based. I mean, like if you were a manager, would you be happy with conceding 320 in a game that you win? So I mean,
Yeah.
it's all relative to how good your attack is and how much belief you have in them and everything else. Like you got to Cork and Tipperary last weekend, it was gun ho. Like I mean, Cork were going forward and the player carrying the ball had three options. Normally you'd love to have one or two, but he had three options because they were just moving en masse. And then Tipperary were doing the same, and it's the same with Limerick, it's the same with Clare. It's brilliant. It's brilliant to watch. But like I mean, if you were the defensive coach, you'd be worrying about your few bob, wouldn't you?
Yeah, without doubt. I feel like all teams have kind of moved to a point where they're like, we're going to try and outscore you rather than trying to concede less, which is something that makes hurling just an absolutely thrilling sport to watch. But yeah, we'll just run through your career, best moments and stuff like that. So I'll go right back to the start. So obviously you're an Oulart-the-Ballagh man. All the awards that you've won with them. Just talk to me. What was it like growing up playing with Oulart-the-Ballagh, like with the school and with your club, and with, like, what day sticks out in your memory as being the day you always look back on that you had a bit of graw for playing for Oulart-the-Ballagh?
1972, we won the under 12. I was 7 years of age and I was wing forward, and that just gave me.
Playing 5 years up.
Yeah, and I never won anything else under 12. The next medal I won in hurling was 1985. The first medal I won was 1972. I won no medal for the next 14 or 15 seasons because we weren't really strong. We weren't really strong club underage in the 70s and early 80s. And I mean, after that, then like, I mean, in 1985, we won the under 21 championship and we won the intermediate championship. We were automatically regraded in 84 because we didn't fulfill a fixture against Buffers Alley. I got my hand broken with the county under 21s, and that's supposed to give you a bit of a, that time it gave you a bit of a, you could get the game cancelled, but it didn't happen anyway. And Buffers Alley agreed to put the game off for a week. We were thrown out of the championship in 84. So I was captain of the intermediate team in 85 because nobody really wanted it in the club because we were just relegated for no reason. And I ended up then but we went straight back senior in 85 and we won the under 21 in 85. I was on the Wexford junior team in 85 and we won the Leinster and All Ireland. And that's where my career sort of completely and utterly kicked off. I went into the senior setup then in 85.
Now that's interesting that you say that you weren't exactly too strong at the underage level when you were growing up, because you did go on to win a good few Wexford championships in your senior career. Was it just a load of lads that would have been breaking through in the years after you that came through?
There's an awful lot of lads that I coached, I hurled with in my latter years, like, if you know what I mean. Like I hurled senior until I was 44 in that was in 2008. Like, so I mean, we won the Fela in 2001. I was coaching the team that won the Fela. And I mean, I hurled with all those lads in 2005 and 6 and 7 and like the likes of Rory, Jacob and all them, they won the Fela B and that. So I would have hurled with all them, but they used to call me grandfather and now lad and whatever else like along and here comes the cripple. Do you know what I mean? It was great crack because I mean for the last 4 or 5 years. But I mean, I lost more than I ever won with the club, and that's why I think I hurled for so long, because you knew how important you knew how important it was to give something back. I mean, we had absolutely brilliant hurlers, Mick Jacob and Christy Jacob and Jimmy Pendergast, Tom Byrne. They have no county senior medal with Oulart. Like, and they hurled I hurled in a county final with Jimmy Pender, and he was 43 years of age. Like, he's my godfather. He's my next door neighbour. He hurled cornerback for Wexford in 70, 76 and 7. Mick Jacob was centre back. I hurled with all them men, like, when I was young. And, like, we won nothing. We were beaten in county final after county final after county semi-final after county semi-final. So when we made the breakthrough with Oulart in 94, like, you thought it was Christmas. You thought it was absolute, like, it was like Santa was after coming down the chimney. Like, honestly, the relief of it was just phenomenal. Like, and then we repeated. I was captain in 95 and we retained it. We got beaten in the semi-final in 96. We won 97. We done okay in 98 again, but we didn't win it. And then we went on a dry spell and we didn't come back, and we won 2004 and 2005 and got bet in the replay in 2006. We won it in 2007 and got bet in the Martins Battles in 2008. And at that stage, I was 44, and it was time to hang up the senior boots. Then I went on to hurl intermediate for about 5 years, and I hurled up my eldest son. We hurled together in about 3 intermediate championships. And then I went back junior, and I played junior until about four years ago, and I hurled with my youngest son. We got bet in the county junior final. He was 16 and I was 49, I think. And we went to a replay. And I mean, lads would ask you your big days out. The 2 days that I hurled with my sons in championship hurling were probably the biggest days of my career, in the sense of you were just thrilled to be able to do it. The biggest day with Wexford was the Leinster final in 96. It was a Wexford man finally going up. Yeah, the Wexford man finally going up the steps. I mean, we were after standing at the bottom of the steps so many times, looking up and cheering on another team and clapping. And you were sick because you wanted to be in the dressing room. Only just code of manners, you didn't go into the dressing room, but you were sick to the pit of your stomach losing again, like, you know. And it was a bit the same with the club. Like, I mean, I would have had a great career from the time I was 30 until I was 40, maybe. But before that, it was very, very scarce career.
I get what you mean. And would you say then that those medals, like, that was a great point that you made about playing, you know, with your son and everything, and like that's something that, you know, very few players get to actually experience in the GAA, like lining out on the same team as the son. Would you say the club medals, like, would you say that it is true that you do cherish the club medals more than what you've won with Wexford, or would you kind of put them? Absolutely,
Absolutely. I mean, this is the people you grew up with. You went robbing orchards and robbing apples when you were a young fella. But you know what I mean? This is the young fellas that you had your first beer with. Like, you know what I mean? These were your friends for life. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I sat beside Liam Dunn in the dressing room. We sat beside each other for, I think it was 27 years in total, like, you know, or something like that. Like, it was the hair stand in the back of your neck sitting beside a man like him in his dressing room, because he was prepared to go to war every day. Like, you know what I mean? And that was why it was so important. And we had some really funny incidents in dressing rooms and stuff, like, you know, then were the memories that tend not to happen in inter-county dressing rooms, because everything is a lot more serious and a lot more professional, maybe. And you know, I mean, I used to always walk in with a can of Coke, and I used to get in trouble every single day. I drink this can of Coke, and Liam Dunn be at the largest, biggest bar of dairy milk chocolate you could get, and lads saying, that's not proper food. But I said, Coke, you're telling us to take caffeine tablets, and you're telling us to take sugary drinks, and you're telling us it's all in a can of Coke, we'd say. And this would be the old messing. But then you tugged out, and that was it. Then the seriousness started. And I mean, to me, if you don't do it with your club, like, they're what gives you the privilege. Give me the privilege of being Wexford captain. Give me the privilege of winning a couple of All-Stars. Give me the privilege of leading Wexford out in September, like, only for my club. Like, that would never have happened. So I believe that you owe your club everything. That's my version. Everyone's version is different. You know what I mean? That would be me. And I'm still coaching intermediate in my club. And I mean, if they wanted me to hurl junior B, I'd still try and tug out and do it. And that's the way I'd feel about it. Like,
yeah, no, that's a great mindset to have, and I'm sure you still have the touch anyway, no doubt about it. Once you have it, it's there for life. Yeah, no, I'll go into your Wexford career then. So obviously you got into the seniors in '85, And obviously, it's a different time for Leinster hurling. For anyone watching, there was no Galway competing in the Leinster Championship at that time. But what you did have was two giants competing against you in Offaly and in Kilkenny. And up until 93, you found it very, very hard to go toe-to-toe with those. They were superb Offaly and Kilkenny sides.
Absolutely. I mean, I go back to 86 and we were leading Kilkenny at half time by, I think it was 5 points, and we got the first point of the second half and 6, and we got Betby 7 or 8. I mean, it was my debut against Kilkenny. It was my first year. I was hurling on Sean Fennelly. He was the Kilkenny captain. I scored 3 points and I got a couple of frees, and I was very, very happy with my performance. But the fact that you got beaten, it was gone out the window, your performance was. And I mean, like, that continued. And you were competing nearly toe-to-toe with them in the league, but they seemed able to find the extra step up in the championship. But they were going on to win All Ireland medals as well, don't forget. Like, I mean, if you go from 90 to 98, like, Offaly beat us, Kilkenny beat us 2 or 3 times, Leinster finals. But the team that beat us, they went on to win 4 or 5 All Ireland finals. And we got 1. That's 6. So I mean, you were in the top tier, but you were just meeting the teams that were a little bit better than you in the top tier. And I just felt we were unlucky, and we probably underachieved between, we say, 90 and 98.
Yeah, well, that's it. Is that it? When you look back, it doesn't really surprise me that the year you got out of Leinster, you went on to win the whole thing, because a lot of champions were coming from Leinster at that time. You had Offaly were hugely successful. You had Kilkenny, obviously, were about to get Brian Cody and go on their golden era. Wexford as well were hugely strong at the time, like the year that you did get through. Apart, obviously, I know he's got through in 97 as well, but obviously the qualifiers had been introduced then. It was a different format to what it was before. But I think 93 and then Liam Griffin coming in was definitely the turning point from when I'm looking at Wexford, from where you went from being a team that you couldn't get over the line against the Kilkennys and Offaly's to now you were a direct contender. Like, what were the main things Griffin, or if he did, was he just there at the right time, or what did he implement that changed it up as well as the players?
He implemented that he gave responsibility, that you just weren't shooting on sight, you weren't just doing stupid things, that you were responsible for your contribution. And I mean, I think that was the big thing that he done. Plus he brought in maybe a more organized training system and that. But I felt like in 93 we were so unlucky. I mean, we lost 3 league, or we lost in the final of the league after 3 times. We should have beaten Cork. We had chances to beat them the first day and the second day. They were better than us the third day. We should have beaten Kilkenny the first day in the Leinster final. We probably could have beaten Kilkenny in 92 in the Leinster final. You know, he galvanised what we were doing and showed us our mistakes. And like, we weren't shooting on sight. Little things like that. You were recycling the ball, which is the modern word for it, where the other time you were keeping it alive was the phrase that time. Like, just don't take a shot if it's not on. Don't shoot from the no shooting zone. Sort of. He gave responsibility to the player and literally talked to you about it if it didn't go. And I think that was what he brought in. And he was very, very disciplined. I mean, we were very, very disciplined in 90, 95, 96, 97. He just brought in a huge... Plus we got the taste of winning, and you liked it. That's the other side of it, like, you know.
Well, that's it. And that seems to be the calling card for all coaches, is that they seem to have difficulties with the players, but then they tend to win. So then it tends to be a circumstance. No, it's all good.
Across you there.
No, I was just saying there. I was saying that tends to be a bit of a defining point for all the managers, is up until they then win something big. So even if you want to switch sports, you look at a Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho. Like, they tend to have difficulties with the players until they win the league or until they win the cup. And then you're like, okay, well, it worked. And I feel like for you you mentioned about how the Offaly Leinster final was hugely important, but how important was the first game in that season against Kilkenny where you beat them? Was that a game where all the players were suddenly like, oh, okay, we're on to something here?
Yeah, but we knew if we got Kilkenny in the first round, we had a great chance of beating. But if we'd have got Kilkenny in the Leinster final, it would have been a different Kilkenny. If you go back and look at Kilkenny's history, they improve every match they go through Leinster that stage at the knockouts. If they were playing what they looked upon as a weaker team, to see could they find a player or find two players. Whereas we attacked them. We had trained really, really hard across the winter of '95 now, and I mean because. I mean, the defining point was Meath beat us in the league in Belfield and in Escarty in '95, and the abuse that was given coming off the field to Liam Griffin and some of us now was, I mean, that was the defining point, basically, that we needed to either step up or feck off, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we turned it into a campaign of we're not going to throw in the towel, we're not going to give up, we're not going to give in, like, you know.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then
Limerick,
talk to me. Yeah.
Galway beat us in the league semi-final in Limerick. Damien Fitzhenry was wing back, Liam Dunn was full back, Gerard Cush was centre back. And I remember, like, I was the captain and we got in on the bus and I was absolutely in the worst form possible. And Liam Griffin got in on the bus and he went to go and make a speech. And I remember putting my head against the seat in front of me going, he's not now, please, Liam. Just, you know. And he said, right, lads, I can feel it from that match today. He says, we're going to win something this year. He says, I just sense it. And I remember lifting my head back up going, this is the first time after a loss in a league semi-final that there's total positivity.
Yeah.
Then after that game, Fitzy went back into goal. Liam Dunn went back centre back. Gerard Cush went back full back. I went back centre forward from midfield, and we settled on a settled team basically.
There you go. Right. And yeah, but there's always a way to lose, and that's what I know that is a crazy thing to say, but say even for example Division 1 there in the football this year, Armagh and Donegal both got relegated, but Donegal got relegated playing, you know, terrible football. They're not looking like they're going to come back, whereas Armagh went down fighting. You'd be pretty confident that they can still compete, and look, they're in an Ulster final now. It's one of those things where if you still had the positivity around the team, I'm sure you believed that you could go and kick on in the championship, which you did. And then you made it to that Leinster final. You were being marked by a certain Hubert Rigney, who at the time was one of the best in the game. Talk to me about that matchup.
Well, Hubert, I mean, Hubert was a gentleman. He's probably the quietest man you would ever, like, he don't talk. There's no conversation. He does hit hard. There's no doubt about that. He'll let you have it. But a nicer fella you couldn't meet. I only ever once were on an all-star trip. I think it was 99 in Boston. That was the only time I ever had a conversation and a pint with him, and it wasn't the biggest and longest conversation in the world now, you know what I mean? But I know you knew what was coming down the road when you were hurling. I mean, you were going to that awfully half back line in '96. Griffin sat us down, myself, Larry O and Rory Mack, and he said the winning and the losing of the match is in your hands. He said they're 3 all-stars. Between the last 2 years, the 3 of them have got all-stars. And he just said, if we can have them hurling on the back foot and we attack them, that's their setting up point. That's where they get most of their scores coming from balls out of half back line. And between us, we scored 13 points in play in that Leinster final. Larry Murphy got 5, I got 5, and Rory Mack got 3. And we got maybe 7 frees or 8 frees between us as well. So that was the goal that Liam Griffin gave the half forward line. I remember we just pulled the 3 of us together one night in Wexford Park training. I remember driving home in the car thinking, like, because I never looked at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he was right. Like, he absolutely wanted to attack the best half back line in the country at the time, and it worked.
No, it was the best half back line in the country. Like, that was an awesome Offaly team. You've got Brian Whelan in there, Johnny Dooley in there, John Troy, like, just legend after legend.
I just know. I mean, the Offaly team was the '90s, was a savage team, and they were a great crowd of lads. Now. They loved a bit of crack and a few pints and a you know, they were great hurlers, but they were also great sociable lads as well, like, you know.
Yeah, Pilkington has the best quote of all time. What's that? The quote he's asked, "What would another All Ireland mean for Offaly?" And he said a lot of drinking or something. See, a real character. But you got through that Leinster final, as you mentioned, walking up the steps, and not only were you walking up the steps, but you were the man to go up and accept that cup. Like, and then just talk to me, because it's so different now. There's no pitch invasions really in Croke Park or anything. Like, just the final whistle and then realizing you're the man to go up and lift the cup. Like, what are the emotions like when you realize it's you that's going up?
Well, would you believe it? If you ever go back and look, you can see me probably sprinting the fastest I ever sprinted to get the match ball. That's if you go back and look. You'll go back and look at the very last second of the Leinster final in '96, and you will see me sprinting. There was a fan or so supporter goes to jump on, and I pushed them out of the way to go get the ball because I just wanted to keep it as a souvenir. But
Yeah. Do you
no,
still have
the
it?
emotions were no. Look at it. It was absolutely, to me. That was the '96 in the making for me. Was the Leinster final, because it was finally a Wexford man. Luckily for me, it was me. I mean, that just happened to be. It could have been any one of us. I just happened to be the lucky one that Oulart-the-Ballagh, which I was talking to you about, was my club, gave me that opportunity to be the captain, because in Wexford the captain was always picked from the county champions, and Liam Dunn was captain in '95, so it was basically my turn in '96. Like, and there was no scientific way of picking it or that. It was my turn basically, and I mean, to me that was. I remember walking up the steps thinking, Jesus, finally, all this has been worth it. I have a medal. Like, I that was my 10th year. It was George O'Connor's 15th or 17th. Like, not a medal between us. Like, there was near league medal. There was near Leinster medal. There was a few Walsh Cup medals. But, like, I mean, at the time, the Walsh Cup wasn't it was a third-rate competition or whatever you want. I'm not putting it down or anything, but it just wasn't hugely important, if you know what I mean. Where now it's one of the big ones, in the sense of you're building for the championship. Where in our time, it was just a competition. That was all we had, like. So now at least you had a Leinster medal, you had a provincial medal, and you were saying to yourself, well, everything's been worth it now. So we went then, and we had a few drinks on the Monday. We met on the Wednesday, and we went down to Curraclaw Beach, and we did an 8K run, and we come back, and Liam Griffin says, right lads, are we happy with what we have? We'll go on the beer now for the rest of the year, or do we just stop and put our to a man? Everyone said no more drink, nothing. We never. That was it. We went. He brought us up to the pub in Curraclaw, and I think he bought 2 or 3 rounds of drink. Liam Griffin did, and that was it. There was not another drink touched until the night of the Galway, the semi-final.
Yeah,
and
no,
the Leinster win was not mentioned again. It was totally and absolutely focusing on Galway. But Liam Griffin was excellent at getting you into the frame of mind that you need to be in. If he'd have made a great psychologist, like, you know what I mean, because he was absolutely brilliant at getting into your head, like, you know.
Yeah, and then obviously he's got over Galway in that semi-final, and now it's final day against the Limerick side that I still to this day don't know how they didn't win the All-Ireland in 1994. Like, going into that game, and then if you thought Hubert Rigney was bad, you were picked up by Kieran Carey in that All-Ireland final.
Kieran Carey was possibly the best hurler of that era, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Brian Whelan and himself were absolutely gifted. I watched Kieran Carey playing an All-Ireland club final when he was 17 years of age, wing forward, and he scored 3 or 4 points in it. He was playing centre back, and I think he was playing centre back because they didn't have a centre back, because I reckon he was the best centre forward in the country.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, he wasn't. I mean, Gary Kirby was up there, and I was on the other side of it. But, like, he was just he was phenomenal, and I was under some pressure with him. I mean, I was the forward, and he scored a point in the first half. I don't think I touched the ball for about 15 minutes, but I turned a bit. Then I got a puck out from Fitzy. I called him for a puck out, and he landed on me, and I caught it, and I got a free. And you said, right, that's it. And then you're able to change a game, your own game, on one little thing, like winning a ball or getting a score or getting a hook in or get a block in, and that gets you totally into the game, because you forget about all the other stuff, and the good thoughts and the good vibes come back into you. And after that, I was happy enough the way I played. And then we had a man sent off, and he just had a system. He had a system. The week before, we matched up, and we played an extra man, and we played a man down. And so we all knew what to do when Eamon was sent off. And I thought it was an absolutely, and still do to this day, it was the most ridiculous sending off of all times.
Oh, I saw. I still don't really know why he was sent off, because that game. I mean, at the time, I don't care saying this. The hurlers in your day were way, way tougher than the guys that are now running around with no helmets on, and like,
But,
like,
but hits were allowed in our time.
yeah, no, and I know. So I was stunned watching it that he was sent off for that, because I
It
was
was
thinking,
absolute to this day now, and I was talking to him. I was talking to him last at the Wexford game, or the Dublin game. Sorry, Wexford Dublin, and like I was still just saying it to him, like Jesus Christ Almighty, was
yeah.
absolutely. There had been a couple of little bits of argy-bargy, and I think he was trying to put down a marker, but like there was absolutely nothing in it,
But
nothing
you
in it.
think
But anyway,
even in
look,
those scenarios, he just sent one from both side off. Like, it was
yeah,
weird that he kind of
but
just chose. Yeah,
yeah, but he picked him, but he could have given out 4 yellow cards
yeah.
and give us all a warning and get on with it. But no, I just thought. But again, it nearly copper fasted us to work harder. But if you go to that, we were talking earlier about the phenomenal scores. We won an All Ireland final with 113,
Yeah.
but we conceded no scoreable free for 43 minutes. Now that's discipline. Gary Kirby, I think, scored no scoreable free in 43 minutes.
That's it. Like, the defense was fantastic. You mentioned it, like Liam Dunn, players like that at the back.
All of the whole six of them, I couldn't single them out. I mean, Liam Dunn, Colm Keogh, pound for pound, were two of the toughest little men in Ireland. Like, you had them in the work rate of Larry O, the work rate of Big Cush. Like, you go through them all. Like, George O'Connor, middle of the field at 37 years of age. But Gary Kirby got no scoreable free for fun. I mean, that was the discipline that Liam had put into us in them 2 years as well. Like, you know what I mean? That he maintained was like a pull on a jersey could cost you an All Ireland medal.
Mm-hmm.
Or a chop down, or some of the stupidest things were chasing the fella back 40 yards and then slapping in across him after you catching up with him. Why not let him go? Like, he gave us those options, so then you didn't do it. Like, and them were the little things that got us across the line. Like, and I also think that Limerick felt coming into it that they're going to do this for 94.
Yeah.
We'd nothing to do with 94. We were there on our own merit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'd nothing to do with Offaly coming back. I mean, there were 6 points up with 5 minutes to go, I think it was, and they got beaten by 5, was it?
Yeah.
But like,
They conceded
that
2
had
goals in a
nothing.
minute.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with Wexford. I think Billy Dooley scored 4 points did he in 6 minutes or something. He was down on his knees drawing breath. He was that tired.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I felt that maybe they took their eye a little bit off the ball, in that sense, that they were focusing on the loss to Offaly a bit more than they focusing against playing Wexford.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an argument for that. And then obviously your All Ireland champions got over the line. It, like, that shot of Larry O'Gorman jumping up on top of the Hill 16 fence is one of the shots of, like, the defining shots of 1990s Irish sports. Like, and then you mentioned it in your Lecker Gale episode that I've watched. You said that was the moment that you'd clocked, we've done it. And again, you're the man going up to lift the Lee McCarthy, like, for the first time, like, since, the glory days of Wexford hurling, that you were
68,
going up.
yeah. But 68 was 28 years. It was sort of unreal. I mean, I have a lovely photograph at home here of introducing my daughter Kira to Mary Robinson, and my son Anthony standing beside me. My wife is just in, like, nobody else will have that photograph, because there's no one 32 years of age going up to pick up a cup now with 3 kids. Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was just that we were a bit older. We're probably a bit more, or in the sense of mature, in the sense of we were gone long on the tooth, and it was nearly gone by ourselves by dates when we got something, So it was the greatest week probably in our lives. Like, I mean, there was 4. I'm from the smallest little village, the Ballagh, like, it's the half parish of Oulart-the-Ballagh, like 2 half parishes. There was 4,500 people when we brought the cup to the Ballagh on that Thursday night. Like, that's memories, like,
Yeah, no, without
and
doubt.
Yeah, like I mean, you go back and you think back on your career. We hurled Laois up in Croker. I don't know what year it was, but I got man at the match. I scored 8 points or something. I got 4 or 5 frees, and my father was driving home that time. We're driving home, and I missed a real bad point. And I was happy enough with myself. And my father says to me, "Jeez, how did you miss that point?" I said, "Yes, I scored 8." Yeah, but he said, "You missed one, and if you had it, just we had needed that and you missed it." He said, "Jeez, it'd be after costing us the match." And I remember thinking, great way to put you back on solid ground, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
them are the memories that come back like to you. It nearly always comes back to the club and your own and your family and your extended family of the county team. Now we meet up, we say once a year or twice a year. We play a bit of golf and that, but everyone goes in and how's everyone, how's the family, make sure everyone is well and okay. And after 5 minutes, then the abuse just goes back to exactly like it was in 96, 97, 98. It's literally absolutely brutal. Like,
Yeah. Oh, no,
you
it's
just
the same. It is with every group of lads.
You just couldn't repeat any of the stuff now on an interview.
Who's the best at throwing jabs?
Oh, just Tom Dempsey, Shawnee Flood, Larry O. Poor Larry Murphy gets busted open all the time because he hasn't learned to keep his mouth shut yet, like, you know. But he's getting there. He's getting there slowly.
Yeah.
But and I mean, that's what 96 created. It created a family outside your own family, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a bond. There's a connection there that's just untouchable or unbreakable. Like, and we only won one. Now, don't forget, like, we were no big mad, you know, champions after champions. Like, I don't know how to manage it in Kilkenny winning so much in Limerick and that now. Like, I mean, we won one, and we had the greatest camaraderie out of it of all times. Like, you know.
No, without doubt. And I want you to give me your opinions on this as well. This was 1996. This will explain how Wexford was hopping after the All-Ireland.
Murphy, he looked 25 feet tall. So what's the story, man? The story. Now Wexford's really back from glory. And when at last the cup was lifted, they said we brought it back for you. And we were dancing at the crossroads.
Of course, the infamous
Wild Swans. I'll tell you what now, I had great, there were a lovely crowd of lads. Now when they broke up, I went in and I just went in they were having a farewell breakup night in Wexford, and this was years later, and I went in to just say a few words and thank them, and I just know we had but I tell you what we had now, which makes it maybe one of the most memorable ones, is that song.
Yeah.
like father and son and dancing at the crossroads. Like my niece-in-law, my wife's niece, was out traveling, and she was out, I don't know where she was she wasn't in Dubai, where was she? Thailand. And they were in this bar or play a party, and anyway, and next minute the song come on. So she said to the DJ, and she said to the DJ, "That's my uncle." Your man goes, "No, it's not." And she says, "Hold on till I ring him." So she rang me, right? Or she not WhatsApp, FaceTime me. So your man anyway had a look and said hello, and then he looked it up. And your man just could not believe, but like, this was in Thailand. So no, I mean, that song made 96 more memorable than it should ever have been, if you know what I mean. It was just luck that the song come when we won the All-Ireland. Like, everyone thinks it was meant to happen, and everything else I think was just pot luck, like, you know.
Well, sure, look, Jimmy's winning matches was the same thing with Donegal.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
In 2012.
My wife was Donegal, and we were going around singing that one as well. So we were like,
there you go. Yeah. I mean, it's a wonder that more teams don't do it. I mean, it makes it go down in history for sure. Yeah, no, that year, like, and you mentioned about the camaraderie, you mentioned about the banter that was there between the lads. Like, what is one of your favorite stories from the training sessions? That you said there, like, you could never repeat it, but what's one that was, you know, as funny as you'd get at a training session? Like, who was always winding people up? Or
geez, when we matched up, to be rows and wars and everything in it, like, you know, it was look, I tell you what we did now, but I can't put names on it. Like, we interviewed We interviewed one of the lads now. We got a full interview out of him sitting beside Liam Griffin on the way to myself and Damien Fitzhenry. Damien was working, I don't know who he was working for, but the mobile phones were only coming in, and one of the other players was after getting a mobile phone as well. So we rang him and we got a full interview from him, and we got the game plan and everything from it. And Liam Griffin danced the jig over it, like, you know.
Like as in the opposition.
No, one of our own lads. He gave us the game plan, the whole lot, and we were pretending we were a reporter from the Irish Sunday Independent, like, you know.
Oh, oh my God. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That must have been an awkward training session.
I rang John O'Connor one year. We were, it was going back now, I'd say 88 or 89. And we went for food to the Talbot, but the wives or girlfriends weren't allowed in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit of a walkout. So we didn't go in. We all went and got our own bits and whatever. But I rang John O'Connor. He was working in HB Ice Cream at the time in Dublin. I was looking for a lift down to train on the Tuesday night, and I pretended I was from the Daily Star or something. I was looking for an interview, and I kept going back to what happened, like, and he kept saying, "No, nothing happened. There was no." So I said, "So you're sitting on the fence then?" And then I said to him, "It's Jason Martin here. I'm looking for a lift down." When I went out to meet him for my lift down, he was gone. He left me up in Dublin. I missed training on the Tuesday. He went without me after setting him up.
There you go.
I know, I couldn't tell you anything.
Yeah, and then
I tell you what I did one time. All right, we had a crowd of lads that would never used to bring shampoo. So I robbed Rosie and Zimac hair removal, and I put it into the shampoo bottle, and I left it in the shower after I had my shower. There was about 5 or 6 of the boys lost a lot of hair for about 2 or 3 weeks after it. All right.
Off their head.
Yeah. They were delighted with themselves using up the whole bottle of shampoo on me, but it was in my hair removal. That's what it was, like, you know.
It's a good way to teach them a lesson, to be fair. But do you used to wear those helmets, those ones without the face guard? Those helmets without the face guard. Maybe that's when they came in. When they lost their hair.
I absolutely hated helmets. I know they're the best thing ever, and anybody now that would be stupid enough not to wear a helmet, it's ridiculous. I mean, I've none of my front teeth on my own. I've lost my nose. I've had surgery on my nose 3 times. I had rhinoplasty done, complete rebuild of the inside. I've lost, like, you know, my top 2 front teeth. My bottom ones are gone. I lost 2 here. Like, it was the way it was. But if I could change it, I'd love to have all my own teeth. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd love not to have sinus problems all the time. But look, I mean, and the safety of it for children, it's I know. I mean, like Mick Jacob here got hit with a brand new hurling ball, and it finished his career with the club. He lost the sight in his eye, or partially lost the sight of his eye. Whereas that don't happen now, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
But I just hate. Only Rosalind would be on to me all the time. Do not take off your helmet. So I'd always started with my helmet, but after 20 minutes, the helmet was gone. I just hated it on my head. So I'd throw it out. And everyone thought I was throwing it out because I was getting mad and this, that, and the other. There was no reason other than I wore it because the children were old enough at the time to know that I should have been wearing it. And Rosie was given out to me for not wearing it, that you were encouraging children not to wear a helmet. So
okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just going to say to you there, the next thing I was going to talk to you about was obviously, so the next chapter then, post 96, obviously Liam Griffin left the job after winning the All-Ireland title. 97, you retained the Leinster title, but then obviously the qualifier system would come in, so you got Tip in that semi-final. So just talk to me about that year, and then obviously you had the resurgence. Brian Cody comes into Kilkenny, awfully, get resurgent again. Just talk to me about the last few years that you had playing for Wexford after 96 and Liam Griffin.
Well, in 97, I mean, we won Leinster. We would have been playing the Ulster Champions. You would have fancied your chances of winning that and getting back to an All-Ireland again. And when you get to an All-Ireland, anything can happen. So, I mean, if you go to 96, probably Limerick would have been very strong favourites for it. after being there 2 years previous, but that's just not the way it works. I just felt that we missed enough chances. Like, I mean, I had 3 bad wides. I think we got bet 4 points, was it? By Tipperary. I think it was 4
something
points.
like that.
Yeah, I missed 2 to 3 bad points. They were bread and butter points, as you call them. I mean, I think we could have missed 5 or 6 scoreable points, and sometimes that happened. I mean, it was a physical game. The build up to it was about how dirty the Wexford backs were at times and stuff, and I mean, we were hit as hard at the other end as the tip forwards was hit down at our end of the field. But look, that's the way it was. We didn't hurl well enough on the day to get across the line, and it was probably a chance gone on us. 98, we played it off. I was again, and it was a great year. The captain, the 1798 rebellion, and that was an unbelievable. And just we had. Are you gone, or did I lose yours at me?
Oh, no. I got the last bit of what you were saying. So you said 98 was obviously the 200-year anniversary of the rebellion, and how significant a year that was for Wexford hurling. I think that's the last bit I heard.
Yeah, and we won the county final in 97, so I was back captain, and it was just a great year to be captain in Wexford, like, because of the rebellion. And we had Offaly, and we had him on the rack, and Johnny Dooley scored a goal with the last puck of the game, like, and Offaly went on and they won the All-Ireland in 98. Kilkenny gave him a big beat, and then the Leinster final, and was it Eamon Cregan stepped down as manager, was it? And there was a big, and all of a sudden Offaly come out and won the All-Ireland final, and it probably was an opportunity left behind, I think, for us, in the sense of we nearly had Offaly beaten that day, and we just didn't put the final nails in the coffin, and Offaly went on and won an All-Ireland. 99, Offaly beat us again. I think just there was a new team coming in. Like, there was a new team. There wasn't many of the older players left, and Kilkenny were on a resurgence with Brian Cody after taking over. There was just a new, and look at how that turned out. Like, you know what I mean? Thank God maybe I wasn't around for the next. There was some heavy beatings handed out over the years by Kilkenny, you know, to any team that they played.
Yeah.
I mean, they won an All-Ireland final against Waterford, I think was by 27 or 25 or 23 points, the highest winning margin of all times. Like, you know, Kilkenny were untouchable in that era, so we were just going through a change, and then the lads come back and they won the Leinster in 2004, wasn't it? And I was gone to my happy retirement. But I was still hurling away senior with the club, like, you know.
Well, there you go. And you were not only carried on hurling with the club, I believe you went into management after your playing career was over. And the Storeys carried on winning in All-Ireland. I believe Ciara was successful on the camogie stage.
Yeah. I mean, but I was coaching. I started coaching in 92.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was coaching all along. The night before the Leinster final in 96, we played the final of the Shamrocks under-10 tournament, and I was the coach of the Oulart team. So, I mean, we won that. We went into Burger Mac in Enniscorthy for an after-match meal for the under-10. So that was my preparation. Was a chicken box out of a Burger Mac the night before the Leinster final. So lads be talking about, you know, were you able to sleep? Were you able to do this? Like, that was my preparation was. So I never got caught up in the enormity of the big game that was coming, because I had 3 young children. So the night before a match, you were getting them ready. You made sure their jerseys were clean. You made sure everything was ready. You got up Sunday morning. I went to 8 o'clock mass. I went to my mum's grave. That was my ritual. Said me a few prayers there. Come home. We cooked a big fry, always. And that was it. Then I went to get picked up. Liam Dunn had picked me up, and Rosie would drive up to the game. So there was no, like, it basically, I remember Ciara doing an interview after she won one of the All-Irelands, and she said, "Sure, I thought all daddies sort of went and picked hurls for their daughters, and like, someone asked Ciara what was your routine of a Sunday when you were young. We got up, we went to mass, we had a fry, we went to a match, we went to the pub and had a few drinks with Daddy with a few bottles of Coke, and we got a takeaway on the way home. That was the Sunday routine, because I was nearly always hurling with Oulart or Wexford, or a practice match, or there was something. So there were, I mean, Ciara went on, sure, and she's still playing senior with Wexford Camogie team. And I mean, Ciara was diagnosed with MS when she was 27, and absolutely a phenomenal woman to do what she's doing, like, you know. And
without doubt.
that's credit to her, because she loved her camogie. Like, I mean, she absolutely, Ciara played adult for senior for Oulart when she was 13, like. You know, so
yeah,
and
that's
she's
crazy.
still playing now. She's still playing. I won't tell you her age now, because she wouldn't be very happy about it, but she's still playing away. Like, she's the Oulart club captain for the coming year. I mean,
Yeah, don't worry. I did ordinary maths, so I wouldn't be able to work that out. But
Anthony is back. Anthony destroyed his knee there 5 years ago. 6 years ago. He got training with Oulart senior team. He just got a bad knee surgery. Knee bent backwards. Someone ran into him, and Tygo Sullivan done it the best he could. And he said to him, if I can get you walking without limping, I'll be doing well. He's back playing junior and intermediate club hurling. The bug is there. And Martin Og is hurling away senior with Oulart, but he done his cruciate. He's waiting on surgery there about 3 weeks ago. He was jumped to catch a ball, and he come down wrong, and the knee buckled under him, and he's loving it. But you're looking, I mean, that's like hurling here is part of life. Like, it's literally it's part and parcel of the week. That's the way it is. Like,
yeah, no, without doubt.
You could be going to at least 3 to 4 matches every week, like, and there's 3 training sessions, and that's the normal week, like, you know.
And yeah, so wrapping it all up, and this is one question that I love to ask: what is one game that would kind of go under the radar, like wouldn't necessarily be on your Lerk with Gael episode? Okay. No bother.
Don't know whether everyone is on the Wi-Fi here or what now. Sorry, you may shoot again.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, no, I was saying just wrapping it up. I was saying one question I love to ask to anybody that comes on. I said, under the radar, what would be one game that you would always look back at and say that changed your career? Like one game that you, for some reason, would be it a club match out on a rainy Wednesday night or a school match, or like what was one game that you experienced the first toughest opponent you'd ever had, or you realized just how good you were, or like what game sticks in your head?
I'd say the Leinster Junior final in '85. We played Dublin, and because I never, like, I loved me hurling. I always loved me hurling. I always wanted to hurl in Crow Park. I always wanted to hurl for Wexford, and I never hurled minor for Wexford, but I hurled under 21 for 3 seasons. We played Dublin in the Leinster Junior final, and I scored 2-6 from play. And I remember someone saying to me afterwards, like, you'll go on to the senior team. And I remember laughing at him going, what in the name of FUCK are you talking about? Like, I said, that was junior hurling, right?
Yeah.
And he said to me, no, I guarantee you now you'll be making a step up. And I got a call about, I suppose, a month or 6 weeks later, like, to go join the senior panel. And I was thinking, no, this is just because we won the This is just because we won the junior, you know, it's part and parcel of everyone getting trials and getting a chance and getting your, you know, giving you an opportunity. And I went in, we hurled the Walsh Cup, hurled okay. John Byrne of Glenbarntown broke his finger. And I got my chance to hurl against Limerick in the league semi-final in Portlaoise. And I never lost my place for the next 15, 16 years. But that match, going back to your question, that match was the match that made you realise, after people telling you that you're getting to the level that's required to do the job. Like, that would have been probably the day. We hurled Galway in the semi-final, and it was hurled on Michael Connolly. He was the younger brother of Joe and John, the great Connollys. And I scored 1 point. I got 8 frees. And I would say it was the sorest I ever come off a hurling field in my life. And Ned Power, Lord of mercy on him, was over to the team, and he walked over to me as I'd taken off my shirt, and there wasn't a bit of me that wasn't marked. Like, and he said to me, "Welcome to hurling with men, Martin." And I said, them were the two, and they were within 3 weeks of each other, like the two of them games.
Yeah, God, and talk about a tough guy to be marked by.
That's where the career.
Good stuff. I have the final question I have for you, Martin, is.
And after that, I just enjoyed every bit of it. I mean, I never took myself ultra serious. Like, if you know what I mean, I hurling was hurling, and I absolutely lived, I eat, sleep hurling. Yeah. But when I switch on off, I'm able to switch it off. Like, if you know what I mean. When I go to work, like, I was a psychiatric nurse, I done that job for 12 and a half hours, and I done it, slept and done that job. Like, you know what I mean? And it was the same. I went out for a couple of pints. Like, it was just that I was able to compartmentalize it, like, to put it in its place, you know, that when I went out on the field, you got your head in that space to go, like.
Yeah.
You know?
I get you. The final question I have for you, Martin, is what would you want your legacy to be in Wexford? What would you want people to say about Martin Storey's career?
That he was a very approachable and ordinary fella. That'd be about it.
Yeah, that sums up what the GAA is about, really. Like, because you were a superstar in that Wexford team. You were the centre forward and hurler of the year, and that's how you want to be remembered. And the mentality that you have about wanting to give back to your club as best you can, like, that's, in my opinion, is what makes the GAA so strong as an organisation. That seems to be a mentality that all the top players seem to share.
But it's the opposite, actually. You were what you were because of your club, because of the lads that you hurled with. It's not because you were the reason. They were the reason that you got what you got. And people often forget. You often hear lads saying, he owes his club nothing. He's after playing for 15 years. He owes his club everything because he probably has 8 county medals or 6 county medals or 4 county medals in his pocket. And only for his club, he would never have them. Yeah. And that annoys me when people say, he owes his club nothing. It's the opposite. You owe your club everything, because only for them and the men that coached you when you were 7, 8, 9 and 10, you would never got the opportunity you got when I was 32. So, I mean, I was a bit long in the tooth when I got the opportunity, but, like, you would have never. I mean, Mick Jacob coached me, my father, Jimmy Pender, Father Staples, Johnny or Joe Hyland, Lord of mercy, all them men, like, you know what I mean? All them lads that coached me, Eddie Grady, like, you know, there's the hundreds of lads that put you through their hands and taught you a little bit, and you picked up a bit for all of them. So you owe the same back to the next generation that's coming. Yeah, no, well said. Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thanks so much for doing this interview. No bother, Seamus, at all. Absolutely a pleasure. No problem. Thank you so much.